Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a Hummel. It's a tier 6 German SPG. This one's located on the eastbourne of Airfield and it's under the command of Citron01. And this is a video with two replays featuring Citron01 in this vehicle. Now the Hummel, it's got a 15cm howitzer as its main armament. And it can do 680 Alpha with the top gun, and this is the top gun, penetrating 39mm of armour with a burst radius of 7 meters. And I think you can see he's got 2 marks of excellence on the barrel already on this vehicle. Now, the Germans actually developed the Hummel rather late in the war. It was, they first started designing it in 1942, and it didn't actually get built until 1943, but once they started building it, they started building a lot of them because they liked them. In fact, they liked them so much, they used them for counter battery because it was very, very accurate and could hit the enemy Arty once their batteries opened up. Rounds out. Near miss. Now, the hull was actually made from bits of a Panzer IV and a Panzer III. They relocated the engine, put it directly in the middle of the vehicle. That gave them more space for the howitzer, which was actually mounted at the back. That was a direct hit on the Defender for 156, his first bit of damage. They used bits of Panzer IIIs as well on the vehicle because obviously all these spare parts were freely available. They were mass manufacturing Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs, so it became relatively simple for them to just take the bits and bobs from the Panzer III and IV, put them together and get yourself a little Hummel. In fact, they liked the hull so much that they also turned it into a tank destroyer by fitting the Pak 42, was it the Pak 43? It's the 88mm, I think it was the Pak 43, was put on it as well.
Moving in to support you.
And that turned it into the Nashorn. Hummel means bumblebee, and Nashorn means rhino. In fact, one of the German generals, one of their senior generals, actually rather hated the name Hummel. And he actually sent out a memo saying people should stop using the name. But nobody did. They carried on using it. They liked the name. In fact, the thing is that most German artillery and SPGs were named after insects. So you had a grasshopper, you had a wasp, and of course you had a bumblebee.
Moving to support you.
Now, towards the start of the war, they actually used a variety of older tanks which were no longer able to efficiently fight against enemy vehicles. So tanks like the Panzer II, which really just couldn't cope with modern tanks. So they took those Panzer IIs and they converted them, turned them into artillery pieces, and that's how you got the Vespa. And that tank is out the game now, so the KV-3's down. We can see that the Citron01 is now up to 895 hit points of damage so far, but no kills yet. Okay, that was a nice hit. 240 hit points off the Löwe. Now, originally when they started making the Hummel, they sent the first 5 off to the Soviet Union to fight at the front. And they equipped themselves very well indeed. They were very good, and the Germans ordered another 500 to be completed. Well, 500 in total on the first order. Around about 1944, they found that there was some upgrades they wanted to make, so when the second contract came round for production, they made those improvements and carried on building them. In total, they built 705 Hummels. That is the actual vehicle with the howitzer. And they also built another 157 what they called ammo carriers or Munitiontrager, which were just basically the same vehicle but without the gun, without the howitzer in the centre. And that would carry crates of shells as well as the charges, because it's two-part ammunition. There'd be the actual shell
Ready to cover your flank.
that it would fire, and then there'd be the powder charge, which would be in a little sort of tin, an open tin, and you put a certain number of charges. Oh, that was a good hit there. Really good hit on the SU-130PM, which is very lightly armoured. He did get a penetrating shot for 694, which is a high roll. But the SU-130PM is still active. There's a budgie nearby. He can take that guy out if he wanted to. Just drive around the corner. I think he's a bit afraid of that 13cm gun. Oh, and with good reason. But oh, there's the first kill. Citron takes him out. A pity that he didn't pop round the corner sooner. I think that budgie could have killed the SU-130PM. But he was a bit too cautious. But his caution was obviously valid. Now the thing about these munition targa that I was mentioning, they oh, another direct hit, 310 on the Barask. Again, thin armor but non-penetrating shot. The munition targas were basically exactly the same vehicles, so if one of the howitzers had a problem, or if there was a fault with the actual vehicle, they could literally dismount the howitzer off the vehicle that was faulty and put it onto the munition targa and use that instead, whilst the other vehicle was then just used to stow the ammunition. Now they don't carry many rounds. In fact, in the game you only get 18 rounds of ammunition in the Hummel, which is pretty poor. In fact, that kind of mirrors what actually happened in real life. They didn't have that many rounds. That's why they had to have the munition targa to actually carry around all the spare ammunition, because if they didn't, they just wouldn't be able to operate properly. But usually it was one munition carrier for 3 Hummels, so wherever you got a battery of 6 Hummels, there'd be 2 munition truckers going around with them. Well, this battle is still going, and there's 5 left on either side. The M44 was spotted at the back, but Citron's not going to go for it because he's more concerned about the tanks up front, especially that Barask and the Defender. Our Caro P88, the new Italian heavy, is holding them off on that side. In fact, he's holding off 3 tanks on his own, and we've got 2 tanks near the enemy cap area, and it looks like the Barask has actually gone back to try and take out that T-37, who happens to be in platoon with Citron. Lines up the shot, fires around him. Good anticipation. Oh, beautiful shot. Kills him. Fantastic shot there. He anticipated exactly where the Barask was going, laid the shell down in his path. He drove into it. It was already in flight as he was moving. And, yep, he's out the game. Now, one of the faults of the Hummel is that it actually overshoots. It's got a very flat trajectory compared to the stock gun, which is basically the top gun on the Grilla. But the top gun you're seeing here with the long barrel does have quite a high velocity. It overshoots targets. So if you get targets gets very close to you, you may have problems. You may find you accidentally shoot over the top of the target. But what you can see here is Citron's actually relocating because the Defender managed to get past the Caro, killed him, and now he's headed towards the cap. But there's only 2 enemies remaining. The T-37 spotting the Defender for us, and he's very low on hit points, so if Citron can get around near him, and he's moving to try and get a position so he can actually shoot through the gap of those rocks, if they can spot the Defender, then Citron can take him out with one quick round. As I said, very low trajectory. We just lost our M12 who didn't relocate in time, and now the problem is that Defender, he's headed this way and the rocks are still getting in the way, and I think Citron's decided that instead what he's going to do is relocate. Now it's 2 versus 2 because we just lost our Tiger 2 killed by their AMX 1357, and Citron is waiting to ambush that Defender if he comes around the corner. Beautiful shot, calm as anything. He is an expert player when it comes to this sort of thing. And that was a very clean kill with an ambush. The guy couldn't see him as he came around the corner. He was in the bush. And the moment he fired, there was no chance. But you can see that this vehicle does have a very low trajectory, which actually does make it very difficult to shoot targets when it's close. But at long range, it's perfectly okay. Of course, with the stock gun, you can't shoot the whole range of the map. You have to use the top gun if you want to do that. But of course, the stock gun, which actually is a fictional gun because it never actually existed on the real Gorilla, the stock gun actually, at least I think it is, the stock gun has fantastic trajectory, but it's very short range. And there goes the AMX 1357, taken out by our platoon mate, who crashed immediately after doing so, and that leaves Citron01 the last person alive in the game. So let's have a look at the second battle. In the second replay, he's on mines, yes, and yes, it's Southspawn, and he's one of only 2 Artys on his team. Can't see where the other one is. Where is he? Very odd. Oh, there he is. Very well camouflaged M44. Okay. Now the reload time he's actually got for this Arty is 25.67 seconds. The book reload is 29.82, so it's actually quite long, but he's managed to drop it. He fires his first snapshot at a... Oh, he hit and destroyed the Nashorn. He got the open cockpit of the vehicle and took him out with one shot. First kill of the game. Game's been going less than 30 seconds. He got the first kill. Now, I actually mentioned earlier, yes, it is the PAC-43 gun, the 88mm that was in the Nashorn. And it's also true to say that the Hummel actually, towards the end of the war, they actually put a grid over the top of the vehicle. Initially, at the start of the war, they just put a tarpaulin over the actual gun, especially in cold weather, so that the crew didn't get freeze to death in that open cockpit. But towards the end of the war, they actually put a frame around the actual cockpit, and they also put a mesh over that frame to stop grenades being thrown into the vehicle to kill the crew. Oh, that Scorpion's on fire, and it was his platoon mate and the T-50 who got the shot in. The T-52 inside the grounds of the castle. People call it the hill, but it is basically a castle. Okay, going for a shot on the 112. Doesn't take it. He's indicating that's his target. Just for a moment there, he held down his right hand mouse key to see is there a better target elsewhere. Changed his mind, came back. The T-29 looked as if he was going to come around the corner. Gets a direct hit on the 112. Okay, there's a couple of enemy tanks right at the back in Achilles, and they've just lost their Burt, their FE304. Achilles was seen at the back. He spotted that one now. I saw it as well. There's that wreck of the Nashorn. In fact, there's an SU-152 there as well. So if he hits one, he might damage the other as well at the same time. Well, he stunned both of them, and the SU-152 is being killed. He get a lovely hit into that SU-152 for 223, and there was lots of follow-up shots whilst he was stunned. We found the other Arty. He's in the Nigel spot. Yes, that's my spot. I found that one. I found that position many years ago and exploited the hell out of it. It's a great little spot, that one, if you ever play the game, especially if you've got a high arc Arty, because you can hit the enemy tanks on the south spawn as they come up to the castle, as they come up the approach, and there's not a lot they can do about it. They can't hide. There's virtually nowhere for them to hide. Okay, he's now aiming for the T-34 too. He's almost loaded. That guy's very low on hit points. Rounds out. That's a kill. Second kill. So 2 kills for Zaka1, who's his platoon mate in the last battle, and also for Citron at the moment. He's doing exceptionally well. Oh, this one's going well. There's only one enemy, only two enemies left, and we've only lost one tank on our own team. And both the enemy tanks are heavy tanks. They're being surrounded, and I think Citron's decided, yeah, this game's over. He's not going to get another shot on those guys because they're around the corner. And it looks like the 112 is about to die. And there it is. That's the end of the game. A very efficient game there for Citron01. He does his victory dance in the end zone. And here's the end of battle results. And it was an ace tanker for Citron01 in the Hummel on Airfield. In fact, he was the last man alive in the game. There was nobody else alive at the end because his teammate crashed right at the moment he got the last kill. He also got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In this one he managed to get 14, but he didn't get any other medals other than the ace tanker. We look at the team score, we can see that he did get the highest damage on his team, but not the highest damage overall. That actually went to the 252 defender, who got 3,119 hit points of damage and picked up a high caliber. So at least he got 20% of the enemy hit pool. And it looks like Citron01 came close to getting it, probably did actually get 20%, but just didn't get enough to get the high caliber. When it came to kills, it was actually the Tiger 2 managed to get the most with 4 kills. 3 kills went to Citron01, the Barask on the enemy team, the SU-130 PM as well. And when it came to the next high scorer, it was the Barask on our own team, T37, his platoon mate Zaka1, and 2 kills to the defender and their AMX 1357. When it came to base XP, that was Citron. Yes, he did enough damage as well as stun assist to get 1,395 base out of that game. 884 went to the T37, his platoon mate, and 879 went to the Tiger 2. He fired 16 rounds, so he only had 2 rounds left at the end of the game. 10 direct hits, 2 penetrations and 13 splash. Damage of 2,555 hit points, of which 2,524 were up more than 300 meters. The difference being that shot on the defender, who just came driving right round the corner and walloped straight into a 15 centimeter shell coming the other way. 8 enemy vehicles were damaged, 3 were killed, and 2,155 hit points of stun assist off 10 stuns. On a free-to-play account, he earned 50,743 credits, got 15,223 from battle payments, and 65,966 altogether. After ammunition, resupply and consumables, he walked away with 28,046 credits from the game. 1,395 base XP, 209 for playing in a platoon. He took away 1,604 experience points altogether. So the first game was a very nice ace tanker, and again shows that he's a very consistent player. As you know, Citron01 has 3-marked an awful lot of Arty already, and he keeps marking more. And in the second battle, yes, he's done another one. Yes, he 3-marked his Hummel in that mines game. He did more than enough damage to get it. He also got an ace tanker in the game. And yet again, he got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hit speed. He got 14, but no other medals in the game. But 3 marks is more than enough for this occasion. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, in this one, he didn't get the highest damage either, but he can rest assured that he did do very well because he came 4th on damage. The high scorer being the ISM, who got 2,846, and he picked up a high caliber. 2,272 went to the STG, and his platoon mate Zaka1 got more than him this time with 1,655, and Citron01 1,254. When it came to kills, he shared the top spot because there was an awful lot of people who also got 2 kills. There was 4 in total, including Zaka1, who was top of the table here with 2 to the Caro P88, I think that is, the Citron01, and also the Jagdpanzer 4. So everyone else, I've got 1 kill or nothing. So a lot of good players on this game. When it came to base XP, it's Zaka1 who did the best. He was spotting, so that's why he was getting extra XP. 1,221 base to him. So look, yes, 1,543 spotting. So you see, he was very efficient and effective for his team. 1,044 went to Citron01, and 1,008 went to the ISM, and those are the only 3 players who managed to get over 1,000. But the next high scorer, the STG, wasn't far behind with 947, and then there's a big gap to the others. Citron fired only 7 shots in this game, so he had 11 left at the end of the game. The rest of the team were just too good. 3 direct hits, 1 penetration on the enemy, 6 splash. The penetration, by the way, that was the Nashorn. Yep, he easily went through the armor of that Nashorn. Let's have a quick look at that. There it is. It does say penetration, 670 hit points of damage. Shell went right through the cockpit and blew the thing to pieces. Not very strong armor on the Nashorn. Well, it's the same armor that's on the Hummel. It says that it's actually fairly light armor, but that was really because it's carrying around a big, heavy artillery piece, or a very big anti-tank gun, and that's why it has to be fairly light in order to carry all that extra weight. 1,254 hit points of damage, all of it was done at more than 300 meters. He damaged 6 of the enemy, killed 2, did 1,187 hit points of stun assist off 5 stuns, and that lovely shot on the SU-152 yielded quite a lot of that in one shot. 30,482 credits from the game, but in this one he did have to resupply consumables, so after ammunition and consumables he actually made a loss for the game of 7,358 credits. I think it was really only the consumables that really cost him, plus the fact that the game was over so quickly he didn't get a chance to do much more damage. If he had done a bit more damage, I think he probably would have been able to pay most of the consumables, but sadly he couldn't on this occasion, and so he ended up with a tiny loss. 1,044 base XP, 522 for being personal reserves, and 522 from personal missions payout, 157 for playing in the platoon. He took away 2,245 experience points altogether. So yeah, once you've got that 3rd mark, it's on the barrel for good, and it means that you're a player to be feared, because when you see that 3 mark you think, oh crumbs, this guy really knows what he's doing. And certainly that can be said about Citron01. So congratulations on your another 3rd mark. That's an awful lot of 3rd marks you've got now on Arty. I think we've covered most of the 3rd marks you've actually got in your Arties, but I'm sure that he will be sending us more as he gets them. If you enjoyed that replay or replays, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a comment down below because it feeds the YouTube algorithm, and of course the Rumble one, and thank you for watching.